Courage in the face of fear. Emma had always been afraid of heights. As a child, she would freeze at the edge of even the smallest playground slide. The mere thought of being elevated made her palms sweat and her heart race. She avoided heights at all costs, missing out on adventures her friends took, always staying grounded. But as she grew older, Emma realized that avoiding her fear wasn't making her life any easier. It was only limiting her. She decided that someday she would face her fear. She just didn't know when or how. One day, Emma heard about a charity event that involved climbing a nearby mountain to raise funds for underprivileged children. Her friends excitedly signed up, eager to take part in both the challenge and the cause. They encouraged Emma to join, but she hesitated. The thought of standing on the edge of a mountain terrified her. Yet deep down, something stirred in her. Maybe this was the chance she had been waiting for, the chance to finally face her fear for a purpose bigger than herself. For days, Emma wrestled with the decision. Every time she thought about the climb, her chest tightened. But then she imagined the children who would benefit from the funds they raised. If she could summon the courage to climb, she could make a real difference. Courage isn't the absence of fear, she reminded herself. It's the decision to move forward despite it. With a shaky hand, she signed up for the climb, determined to see it through. The day of the climb arrived, and Emma stood at the base of the mountain, looking up at the towering peaks. Her heart pounded in her chest. Her friends were chatting excitedly, but Emma remained quiet, anxiety swirling in her stomach. With her legs trembling and doubt gnawing at her, she took the first step. One step forward, then another. That's all she needed to focus on, just one step at a time. As they ascended, the trail became steeper and exhaustion set in. Emma's legs ached, and every time the path neared a ledge, her stomach lurched. The wind whipped around them, making the ground feel even more unsteady. She wanted to stop, to turn back, but something kept her going. Maybe it was the thought of the children or the encouragement of her friends. Step by step, she pushed forward, clinging to her resolve. About 3/4 of the way up, Emma hit a wall. Her muscles screamed, her heart raced, and fear clawed at her from every angle. She looked down at the steep drop below and froze. Her body refused to move. But in that moment, her friend Sarah placed a hand on her shoulder and said, "You've come this far, Emma. Don't let fear stop you now." Those words broke through her paralysis. Emma took a deep breath, focused on the path ahead, and willed her legs to move. After what felt like an eternity, they reached the summit. Emma stood at the peak, breathless and overwhelmed. The view was magnificent, stretching out for miles. But it wasn't the view that took her breath away. It was the realization that she had conquered her greatest fear. She had climbed the mountain, not just physically, but mentally. Her fear was still there, but it no longer controlled her. As she gazed out over the horizon, Emma understood what bravery truly meant. It wasn't about being fearless. It was about pushing through fear and doing what seemed impossible. She had faced her fears and taken a risk, and in doing so, she had found a courage within herself she never knew existed. From that day forward, Emma knew that there was no mountain too high for her to climb.